Report and
But now I can't hear you anymore.
oh, can't you?
Oh, now I can.
Oh yeah, you should be able to. Oh, brilliant.
Okay.
And what I'll do is just go. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Agency Life. My name is Clodagh Higgins, and today on the call we have Cindy from Hudson Fusion, which is a brand new agency. I've never met Cindy before. Welcome, Cindy, to the Agency Life podcast.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You're calling in from New York, am I correct?
Yes, that's right.
Tell us more about Hudson Fusion. And we discovered each other on the HubSpot Agency Women's Partner group. After I realized I had a bit of an imbalance. I had a lot of men and I want to tip that balance over for the next. So you're a HubSpot Agency Partner, is that right? Tell us more about your agency.
Yes, we are a HubSpot agency partner. We've been a partner since 2011. I opened the agency in 1996, so quite a long time ago. We were a web design agency for many years, and then around 2011 is when I started to move towards a marketing agency and started to build out the services that we were offering, and HubSpot was a big part of that initiative.
Amazing. 96. Wow. What? Tell us
Yeah.
how different it is from 1996. Well, we certainly weren't doing Facebook and LinkedIn ads, sorry.
No, I mean, it was like before Google. I mean, it was a long time ago. It was a very different environment. I mean, most people did not have internet connections in their homes yet. When I would go out and network and try to sell my services to local businesses, my pitch was very much like, there's this thing called the internet. You should go to the library and check it out. It's really going to be something. So it was very different, and also a lot of the customer relationships I had very early on were with IT people at companies, because they were the people that were responsible for any content that was going out on the internet. So very different than what's happening today.
And what kind of services were you selling at that time? And tell us about the progression then, the kind of journey.
It was all website design and development,
Yeah.
and that that kind of sustained the agency for quite a few years. We were small. There were no real local competitors to it. There were a few large agencies in Manhattan that that I knew of, but we were not targeting the businesses that were looking to to engage with a large agency like that. So we were literally just building websites. There were no templates. There was nothing, everything was from scratch. Nobody had any real expectations about what they were going to be getting. Sometimes they didn't even see what was there. They just they knew they wanted a website, or the IT person wanted a website.
Yeah.
That changed really over the years dramatically, obviously, but that's what it was when we started. And it was just me, and then me alone at first, and then me and one other woman that I brought on board.
So the two of you going through, what would be the major milestones you would have seen significantly? You went through the Y2K phenomenon.
Yes.
Remember, we all had a great fun with that. That would have been a significant milestone. What were the next sort of shifts that you would have experienced in your agency going through the years?
I think, it wasn't an overnight shift. There were some big milestones for my agency in terms of steps that I took to grow it. In terms of the industry, it sort of was this slow crawl to businesses becoming more comfortable with looking at the web as a way to communicate online. And that didn't really happen overnight. But yes, Y2K was an event. The .com bubble burst was an event that affected business a lot. But really, it was what I've seen mostly is this gradual, a gradual change from a very tech kind of field that we were into a communications, marketing communications field that, because as the internet was evolving and the way people were using it was evolving, so were we.
Yes, that would be the common thread throughout. It's still humans at the end of the day that are doing this work. And
Right.
it's the human interaction. We talk about that quite a lot on the show, actually. So from your perspective, what are kind of the things that you're excited about now? And do you get any flashbacks? You're going, oh, I have this feeling again, considering the history that you have.
Oh, every day. The thing, whatever the big thing is today, you always go into it feeling like, okay, this is where we're going to put all our efforts, because this is going to be it. Like, this is going to be the thing that's going to separate for us from our competitors, because we're going to have this capabilities, and we're going to go be all in on Facebook advertising, and then Facebook decides that they're not going to be giving you your lists the way that they used to give them to you, and then starts talking about the next thing, which is private conversations. And you're like, okay, well, there's all that effort we just put into becoming really good at advertising on Facebook. Like, what do we do next? Like, what's now? So I'm always having that kind of those kind of experiences, and you get used to it. With the web part, it was things like Flash. I mean, Flash was the next big thing, and everybody was scrambling to figure out how to use it, and there were all this cool interfaces, and you needed a Flash developer, and designers were on top of it. And then the next day, it's like it's gone. It's just gone.
Right.
So what's next, right? So that's kind of typical.
That's good insight too. Yeah, we do tend to, I think the people in the agency world, we're very adaptive. We will get excited and jump into things. I think we've learned the lesson now going, a new thing will come up. How does it balance into what's working already?
Right.
If something isn't working, maybe it can go out to bring in the new thing, but not go all in anymore.
Right. And that's big with HubSpot agencies, and the conversations that I've had with other partners, where a few years ago the mantra was we're all in with inbound, and then you see HubSpot starting to change their own direction.
Right.
And so that didn't, for me, that was sort of a natural progression. But I know, talking to some other agency owners, where it was there's confusion, and then there's panic sometimes, because you're not prepared to be constantly changing like that.
Yeah, for the people who brought us into inbound to now say they're not going to talk about it, and some of the players dropping the word inbound from the name of their agency.
Right.
It is interesting, isn't it? It's a new world for us. So you had a decision to make. What year was that you decided, instead of being on your own, you would take in a partner? When was that?
Well, I did take in a partner. That was later on. It wasn't the first, the woman that I had referred to earlier. That was an employee.
Right.
But I guess it was around 2006 or 2007, I could really see how the clients that I was working with to build websites for were now asking for other types of marketing communications materials. And I started working with a local agency, and her expertise was in a lot of design and some marketing, and she was having the opposite kind of challenge with her clients wanting websites.
Right.
So we had decided to form a partnership, and that was when I had changed the name of the agency to Hudson Fusion. She and I formed that partnership, and we started offering both sides of these services at that time. That partnership didn't last very long for a whole lot of reasons. I don't think I'm unusual in that story.
Give us one of the things that you would have done differently then, because there's a lot of people merging and a lot of partnerships going through right now. When you reflect back on that, what do you think you could have done differently?
I think there was a flaw in what the two of us were looking for as a benefit of the partnership. And, we didn't go into it cold either. We hired a consultant to help us figure out if it was the right fit. We hired and that consultant helped us figure out how to structure the partnership. Ultimately, he helped us figure out how to dissolve the partnership. But I think we talked a lot about cultural fit and all of those soft skills that made a lot of sense. And from a business perspective and money, it made a lot of sense. What I realized at the end of the day, the biggest flaw was that our personal goals were just different.
Wow.
I was looking for a way to accelerate the growth of the agency, and she was looking for someone who, she was looking to step away from some of the operational parts of a business so she could focus on the design, which is what she loved to do. And that was okay at first because we were small and enough that she was involved in the day-to-day work. But as we grew, and I really, I needed a partner who was going to help me run a business. She became unhappy because she was unable to do the things she loved, and I was unhappy because I wasn't getting, I felt like my partner was an employee.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was like, that realization, at looking back, I think was the biggest problem that we had.
Great. So there's a really simple tip that, that you took from, obviously that was a bit of a journey, but what roles are you doing today? When you're in a business and it's small, you have to wear lots of hats. But
right.
You plan the future, you go, okay, in a year's time, I don't want to be doing finance and HR. I want to be doing design. And people can see that in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very important thing. A really good tool that I recommend people use for that is the accountability chart from EOS Worldwide.
Yep.
And you can just download that and plan today. Today you're doing sales, marketing, services, everything.
Right.
But in the future, you can say, I want to specialize in this particular area, and then everyone's clear. Great right. Tip there, Cindy. Thank you.
Yeah, and we actually did go through that exercise about a year and a half ago with EOS, and it was, even that small exercise was so eye-opening, because the first thing you do in that accountability chart is start to figure out who sits in each seat, and where you can see really clearly who has multiple seats, like who has those multiple accountability. So it was very helpful.
That is very helpful. So tell us about the next, so the one that didn't work. So then what happened?
So then she left, but I decided to continue on. Took a year to kind of, crawl into a cave and say, oh my God, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Actually, looking back, I realized what I had done, and it was such the wrong thing to do. It's like I went back to what I was comfortable with and started really just promoting the website design part of the business again. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, this is a mistake, but I'm also thinking, I don't know what to do, because I really didn't have, I didn't talk to clients about marketing, and I didn't talk to the employees about the services that we were doing. Mm-hmm. I really was more on the operational side and on the technical web development side of things.
Yeah.
So after I got my feet back under myself and decided, okay, I'm just going to move forward with my original plan, I hired an executive coach who literally walked me through over the years what to do first and what to do next to get to the goal. Like, I was able to communicate my vision and where I wanted to go, and he was able to help me figure out the path to get there. And slowly I started building out my team and building out the services, and my role continued to change all along the way, because again, I was back into every aspect of the business, and then moving into pulling out of those seats on that accountability chart over time.
And replacing people and putting the experts into that. So what's the thing that you love to do all day long now? Tell us about what your role looks like at the moment in the agency.
My role is very much a leadership role, and in EOS they have that box called visionary, which just sounds so weird to me, but that's where I'm sitting. But I still find that what I enjoy the most is the leadership and mentorship of the younger employees that I have here. I was a teacher for 18 years before I opened the web design agency. I still teach today at the university. I love helping young people become what they inspire to be. So for me to see my employees that come in, a lot of them are younger, and come in and help them not only develop their skills that they need to be successful here, but to develop themselves as professionals in their own right, is very satisfying to me. I do spend a lot of time, making sure that they're out there networking. We do a lot, I talk to them a lot about, it's not about I'm a copywriter at Hudson Fusion. It's I'm a content specialist and I happen to work at Hudson Fusion.
Got it.
And, like, we're lucky to have you. Like, that's the mindset that you need to have.
Yes.
And I enjoy that very much.
That's very empowering for them. You would have seen then over the years from, this is a topic I'm absolutely fascinated by, the difference that we've had technology, us growing up versus the kids growing up today. What would you say some of the challenges that technology has put on them regarding interpersonal skills versus what you were teaching, those years ago?
I read the same things everyone else reads, and I can see the, kids, at dinner with their phones and not talking to each other. But honestly, the people that I'm interacting with here, I don't see that, it is different. The way that they do communicate, like, just give you a simple example, like, our Slack channel, it's like, it's to me, it's like, I look at it and say, okay, that's not the way, I typically would be communicating when I was their age. Obviously it wasn't there, but I don't see it as a hindrance, really, not in the professional space. But I mean, it definitely affects how we market our for our customers and our clients. They need to communicate where people are, and if it's on Facebook and LinkedIn and through Slack, then that's where we need to be.
Yeah, I think just training the education around, okay, Slack is for this particular type of communication. When it's something more detailed, what do you use? Is it email? Is it a project? When do you pick up the phone? When do you book a meeting? When is it face to face? I think that's
right.
To help navigating. It's not that they don't know how to use they're used to a certain type of communication, and just explaining that rounds them out. It's great that you're getting them out. Networking, that's such an important skill, to be able to meet new people and not be afraid to walk into a room and connect. That's very, very powerful. That's really cool.
Right. I do find myself saying more often that I think I should pick up the phone and call. Yeah. There is some hesitation there to get away from emailing clients and picking up the phone and calling. Like, I constantly am reminding people, you can pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's just complete habit.
Right.
Right. I find myself doing the same. I should remind myself to pick up the phone instead of texting my mother. I need to call her.
It's great that she reads the texts.
Yeah, we need a big sign up on the agency walls. Don't forget the phone. Pick up the phone.
That's right.
A great one. What are you excited about then? With you've been on HubSpot along the journey, and you're seeing the transition. It's like a glimpse into our future. Over here in Europe, we're about 18 months, maybe a year, some places, behind on the inbound curve. We're still here talking about inbound. Agencies still have their inbound all over their website, and I'm seeing the trend away from that, and different speak coming through about marketing technology, growth stack, those sort of things. What are you excited about, Cindy, when it comes to what's coming next?
I am excited about the concept of growth stack, and in particular the integration of marketing and sales. We work mostly with B2B companies, and we haven't really gotten into the service the service stack yet, but the sales and marketing and that ability to share that data to me is really exciting, because with the businesses that we work with and we look to work for, they're not yet set with these big sales platforms and large sales teams. They tend to have like anywhere from 1 to maybe 6 or 7 salespeople, and they usually don't have maybe they're using Salesforce, but they realize it's overkill for them, and to be able to really tie that knot between marketing and sales, and then move into the sales enablement is exciting and satisfying from a service perspective. And then from a revenue perspective, I'm still trying to figure out how to separate sales enablement services from marketing services in a way that we can really treat it as a separate service offering. It's been difficult to do that. There's a lot of overlap. It's hard to explain to our clients exactly where that delineation is. But I do see that as an opportunity for us.
If we can figure those things out, I definitely agree. I think they can get blurred. You'll go in to do some marketing work and then you realize that they haven't got a great sales process, or you're about to deliver the marketing campaign and all these MQLs and SQLs, and you can see that the sales people don't like to pick up the phone or something.
Right.
There's a point there for, I think, an opportunity for agencies. A simple tip while we're here, and this comes up with the agencies that I work with, I'm just inviting them for you, as with your experience, to just book like a half a day workshop to actually whiteboard their sales process and charge yourself out at that. So it's more like, is it sales enablement? Is it like sales expertise? I think it's more like a revamp on their sales system. And that way, get the sales team in a room and go, what do you do? And charge yourself out for that system. And then from there, you can make a sales enablement package.
Right, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of it from the sales process back to marketing. We've always been thinking about it from marketing to this and the sales process. So it's things like the sales support materials that you want to give to the sales team, but again, it's like a lot of that stuff marketing wants or uses, and it gets blurry.
So almost creating like a workshop for half a day and pull the sales team into the room. It'll be a good opportunity to see who's there as well, and just draw it out going, okay, what's your sales process? And then what do you do? And then what do you do? And then what do you send them? And what do you email them? And just go digging in all the questions and just kind of sit back as a business person and the experience that you have, and then pretend to be a consumer and just say things like, why isn't that on the website? And they'll go, whoa, simple thing. They'll be simple. But a half a day workshop at a good charge, because you and your experience and everything that you bring to the table. And then from there, you can then deliver a good sales enablement package.
That's a great idea. Okay, I'm going to go do that.
No problem. It's about helping both ways. I think that is a big opportunity. When it comes to any of the conversational marketing type of things that are going on, how are you feeling about those services?
We've been playing with them. I almost feel like right now that it's a toy that we're playing with. If I think about the, what's been the hot topics, like that was AI and conversational marketing, and that, those are the last two. And before that, video was a big thing. Like we're always 2 steps behind where it seems like we're supposed to be, like just trying to figure out how to get video into our services. But we've been playing with some pieces of the conversational marketing for ourselves, and developing like some bots and and tying it back to some content offers and back to our workflows. And it's interesting. I haven't had clients get excited about it yet.
Right.
So we haven't had an opportunity really to play with it, aside from for ourselves.
Yeah. I think it comes down to, again, are they using it? If they are not on websites themselves and comfortable with the bot. I've got into the habit myself recently of going on a website and it's the first thing I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of the type of personality I am, but I'm like, give me a bot.
No, I'm the same way. And then I want to know if it's a HubSpot bot.
I'm like, give me the bot. Give me the quick questions. I'm here to. I'm in and I'm out. I've only got 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're at the right place at the right time. If you're figuring out, there's no point. You've learned your lesson jumping on bandwagons, building those 6 flash websites in the past, and where are they now?
Exactly.
At the right place, the right time. So you shared with us that, I'm going to call it a learning opportunity of when the partnership did not work out. We all make mistakes in the business, and I think this is one of the reasons agency life came to fruition. It was, we want to learn from each other. There's other, let's say, opportunities for growth that you would have experienced that out there. Maybe any other tips that you could give agency owners who are in the early days, you know, they're starting out, and they might be thinking of different aspects, things that you've learned along the way? What would you share with them?
Right. I think the biggest revelation to me along this entire journey is that you never really do get to the finish line unless you sell your business. And early on, I always hear in my head, if I could only accomplish X, everything, then it would be great. And you do accomplish X. By the time you get to X, there's Y and Z that have cropped up, and the next thing that you need to, the next hurdle you need to get over. I was just talking to one of my employees the other day, and we were talking about how she took on certain responsibilities a year ago. It was her annual review, and how she was feeling really overwhelmed. And I'm saying, because you have too many responsibilities. And she said, but it's the same thing we talked about last year. And I said, but between last year and this year, we've doubled in size. So yes, your accountability for the things have been the same, but now it's just a bigger challenge. And so even in the growth, and it's constantly shifting, constantly changing, and just you can't have the mindset that you're fail because you don't get to the finish line. You have to think of the finish line as always moving.
Yeah.
And then the other advice I have is really do stop along the way and pat yourself on the back. It's really hard to do. But what I've started to do is like keep notes of accomplishments and the good things that happen. And when I'm feeling like really frustrated, or for me, it's mostly impatient. I get like super impatient because I want what I want. I go back and I say, wow, we really have done a lot, and I've accomplished a lot, and it's been really good. And and then you feel better.
Yeah, that's excellent, because like you said, we're moving at such a fast pace. We don't really stop and take into consideration, oh, hang on, I have achieved a lot. Great tip for agency owners there. This is the game, and the game is change. Mm-hmm. Even when you have a great team and everyone's flowing along, something happens. And if you don't like that change, please go and work in a bank, because they're not going to change for a while. They've decided they're not changing. So if you don't like change, go and work in a bank. You do like change.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great
and just embrace it. I think entrepreneurs in general love challenges. I mean, that's why we do what we do. So just embrace that that's the way it is. I was talking to a young woman who's just starting a marketing business in town, and she said, I just want to know what the steps are to get to where I want to go. And I said, you could sit down and think of them. Just know you're throwing them out the window within the next several months. And if you're okay with that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, sure, get a plan, but I'm not going to stick that. So a long time in the game, Cindy, how would you say, what would be your personal tips that have kept you sort of like, you're so positive and young at mind for all of these things that are coming up? It's a real credit to you, but what would you say you do personally to help you decompress or switch off or keep going?
I find it much easier now to turn off and decompress. I know early on, like every little thing seemed major, but I think just always looking personally what my next personal goal is and working towards that has kept me really grounded. And it's not easy all the time, because your personal goals are so closely tied to agency goals and your business goals. But that for me has been its own journey. So where success looked like a size of an agency or a revenue number along the years, like today, as I'm looking at what's coming in the next 7 to 10 years for me, success looks very different. It's me being able to retire at some point and feel like I finished something that I started. And that to me is my huge challenge, because as I said a few minutes ago, it's never been finished. So what does that look like? And really remove what does that look like on a personal level from what does that look like for the agency. So that's my current challenge. And that's what I'm focused on today, is really determining what does that look like for myself.
What does life look like after this? and the
Yes.
next phase for you? And when is that going to happen? Because we could be doing it forever, couldn't we?
We could. We might. You don't know.
Yeah. And what else are you focusing on
So I've been getting very much interested into these local entrepreneurship programs and mentoring, because I feel like that's my big takeaway from running an agency. As I said earlier, it's a thing that I found that I love the most to do.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of opportunities in the community to help other, young entrepreneurs. And I've kind of been, networking and looking at different organizations that have these entrepreneurship. There's one that I'm really interested in that does these cohorts for 15 people at a time, and they're really underserved business people mostly who are starting business, and they have mentors and specialists, and I think that's next for me.
Incredible. An awesome opportunity for many agency owners, and especially HubSpot agencies. I feel like the knowledge we got in the first 6 months of when you get your HubSpot license and you start working with it, you must find that yourself when you stand in a room. It's not just marketing software, and people ask you questions. You know so much, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because that's exactly what I tell my younger employees when they're nervous about getting up and speaking in front of a group or whatever it is. Like, more than the person more than you think, and more than the person you're speaking to. So go out there with confidence, and it's all good.
Brilliant. That is super advice. I think we'll wrap up there. This has been exceptional. Load of information, Cindy. Really appreciate you taking the time out to share your world. Where would we find you apart from hudsonfusion.com? Where else do we find you? On Twitter and LinkedIn?
Oh, you mean literally? Well, I think I'm easy to find. Penchina is not a common name, but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can get to me, through our website too at hudsonfusion.com. You'll find me. I'm not hiding.
You're not hiding. Good woman. You're not hiding. And well, I definitely hope to meet you at maybe the next inbound if that's on the cards for you. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it.
Thanks a million, Cindy.
Thank you.
See you soon, everyone.